Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hamida, and in today's video we will be doing my February and my March wrap-up. Yeah, I'm doing both in this one single video because I forgot to record my February wrap-up, and by the time I remembered, I just could not be bothered. I was not in the mood to get in front of a camera, and yeah, sometimes you're just not in the mood to get in front of a camera and stare at yourself. So yeah, you'll be getting both wrap-ups in this video. I'm not sure if I remember what I read in February, so I'm gonna have to look back at them and remember why I rated them what I rated them. I want to say I had a good reading month. I didn't read the books I put on my February TBR. I also didn't read what I put on my March TBR. But I feel like, excuse me, it's March now, and every TBR I've set for each month I have not read. So I'll keep going though. I will read one book. I will. For my monthly TBR one day. It will happen. But anyway, let's get into February wrap up. So I've had to get my phone out. I'm gonna go on Storygraph because I don't know what I read in February. Let's have a look. Book 1, Nobody to Love You Better by ML Bash. I picked up this book basically because a lot of my mutual on TikTok and Twitter were talking about this book, and I was like, why not? Like, romance book by a black author, why the hell not? And I picked it up, I started reading it, and it wasn't for me at all. I feel like I've forgotten what the book is about because I tried very hard to erase it from my memory, and a lot of my mutuals enjoy this book, and maybe it's a me problem. I made a TikTok video on it. I think it might be me, but then I did look up reviews on Goodreads, and I was scrolling for ages before I came across that one person that also DNF'd. This person DNF'd the book. They got further than I did. They DNF'd at 51%, I DNF'd at 47%. I still rated it because I'm going to rate. I don't care if I DNF a book. I'm still going to give it a rating because I spent my time reading it. So you will get rated. So I gave it a 1 star. This person also DNF'd, and I read this person review and I was like, so maybe it's not a me problem, because there's 2 of us who have had the same problem with this book. And I'll just tell you what the book is about. So it says, when it comes to Donovan Moss and Raina Gaines, Kimber Dixon has proven to be their guardian angel. Both men let Kimber into their heart but refuse to allow their feelings to get in the way of years of friendship. Years later, after leaving to make sense of her own life, Kimber returns to the small town where she was raised to discover the boys she met all those years ago are now men. Donovan and Raina have an offer she can't refuse, and Kimber decides to try something different. While they attempt to navigate the new bond, the 3 quickly realize their potential love triangle proves to be the least of their issues. Donovan and Raina are fine with sharing Kimber, but she steps right into a life she never imagined possible. So why she chose... Donovan and Raina are fine with sharing Kimber, but she steps right into a life she never imagined possible, so why choose? Unfortunately for Kimber, Chance's encounters prove to be more complicated than she prepared to handle and create more chaos than the 2 men vying for her heart. This is a reverse harem romance, 1 woman, 2 men who love and protect her in ways she can never imagine. God, I hated this book. I can't even lie. I dislike this book so much. There's so much problem with this book. And if you like it, if you enjoy it, good for you. It wasn't for me. There was just so many red flags. One of my biggest one that I don't even know if that was the last straw, was the fact that, it's like she has no thoughts for herself. It's like this man just makes a decision and she's just like, okay, because they are good looking, or because, there was one scene that I can't seem to forget, was when they were doing the doing thing, if you catch my drift, and while in the middle of it, Kimber goes, oh, I'm gonna go to family planning and get some contraceptive, and the guy turned around, I don't know which one of them turned around, like, no, that's not allowed, I will not allow it, like, I get to decide. I was like, okay. I was like, am I reading a dark romance? Like, am I reading a dark romance? Like, I don't know if I missed the part where it was in one of the description or like the tropes or whatever, it was classed as dark romance. Maybe that's a me problem for not looking into it properly, but that was just a big no-no to me. And as somebody who actually reads dark romance, that is always for me in any dark romance I read, because like, who are you to decide? Is it your body? Are you the one that's going to be pregnant? Are you the one that's going to carry the baby for 9 months? No. So who are you to decide? So that's one of my about it. And then there was a scene where she'd gone to bed with one of them, and then she wakes up alone, she goes downstairs, and they're in a meeting with guns and stuff, and it turns out that he was part of like a gang. Is it a gang or is it a mafia? I can't remember this book. I tried very hard to repress it. So I gave it a 1 star. I don't even know if I described it well. I don't even want to describe it well. But yeah, I'm just glad I was not the only one that DNF'd it. There was somebody just like me on Goodreads who DNF'd it, because I just a lot of my mutuals just loved it. Maybe I'll go back and... No, that's a lie. I should not lie. Hamida, you're lying. I will not go back and read that book. But if you enjoyed it, good for you. But it wasn't for me. Yeah. And then the next book I read was The Shadow of Gods by John Gwynne. It's a fantasy book. It's, I want to say like Viking books, I think. This is going to be very hard because I don't remember what I did yesterday. So to remember why or what these books are about, it's going to be a tough ask. Right. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my opinion. If you liked Game of Thrones, there's a potential you'll like this book. I think. Don't jump me. It's my opinion. Because it's very... Is it the word grotesque? Very graphic. And the only other thing I know that I have watched or read that's like that, in that capacity, is Game of Thrones. So, basically, in this world, there were gods. These gods basically drove themselves to extinction. These gods came in form of animals. The ones that I want to say that have been spoken about a lot more, well, the ones that I actually remember, dragon and wolf. There are others. They're like shaped, like, there are others. But I can't remember. The ones I can remember is the dragon and the wolf. So these gods have driven themselves to extinction, and obviously it's caused a lot of stuff. The story basically follows 3 people. Orca is an huntress. She lives with her husband, who's also a hunter, and her son. I can't remember how old the son are. But Orca and her family, they don't live with the village. They live in the village. They live by themselves in a secluded area, like high up in the mountains, I want to say, or in the forest, I can't remember. And in this kingdom that they are, you find out that like children have been going missing, right? And they don't know why. And then one night they heard a scream, and they go to investigate, and it's I want to say like a friend or people they know that had been basically unalived, and their child was missing. And the monsters in this book have obsessions with teeth, which kind of creeps me out, but the teeth are missing. So all kind of family goes down to the village to discuss it with the, the people in power in her kingdom, and obviously I don't know. They said they'll look into it anyway. Anyway, one night Orca goes to somewhere, I think to pray or to say she's going on a journey with she's gonna take her husband and her son away, and she comes back. She hears a scream or she sees smoke. She goes running back, and her whole house has been literally dismantled, broken, and she finds her husband dead and her son missing. So she goes on a mission to find her son. Turns out that her husband is a descendant from one of the gods. I can't remember, but that's why they are taking the children, because obviously Orca and her husband's children will have the power because they're descendants from one of the gods. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, that's Orca. She goes on a mission to get her son back, and she goes off basically. She's scary. She is scary. She does not care. And I love that about her. And then you find Varg. Varg used to be a thrall, and then he pretends. I think he kills his master, and goes on a run. He has this mission where he's to revenge his sister who had died. Don't know how she died, but he needed like a witch or somebody to figure out, to do some magical thing where he could see the final moments of his sister so he can know who killed his sister and get revenge. And for this to happen, for him to get close to the witch that he needs to be blood sworn. So he joins this group, and turns out he's also a descendant from one of the gods, but my guy didn't know either. And all in all, I'm just gonna say this book was amazing, and I gave it, what did I give it? 4.5? 5 star? I give it a 3.5 star. I don't know why. There must be a reason why I specifically gave it 3.75. Not even a 3 star, not 3 star, not 3.5, 3.75, which means there was something in the book that made me, like, a tiny bit that made me not give it a 4 star, but I can't remember. A part of me really wants to like bump it up to 4 stars, but I know me. There must be a good reason. I must have had a good reason not to. But anyway, read the book. I don't know if I explained the book right. I just know that I enjoyed it, and for some reason I gave it a 3.75, and I don't remember why. But read the book. Trust me, it's really good. The book I read was an arc that I was sent, Kadim. It's called Kadim. I think I'm saying it right. It's, where do I start? I saw an Instagram post from the author asking for arc readers. So I was like, yeah, why not? Like, it's by a Muslim author. The tropes of the book was like, I think it was like halal romance. Oh my god, this is why I should do my wrap-ups on time. It had like He Falls First, office romance, arranged marriage, halal romance, and I was like, why not? First things first, I need to be honest with myself. I don't think I'm a romance girly. I don't think I'm a romance girly because I noticed one trend, one pattern. I don't rate my romance books high. And I think that's a me problem. It's not because the books are bad. Don't get me wrong, this book is not great. But in general, when it comes to romance books, I think I'm a bit harsh when I rate them. This book, Kadim, I had a lot of issues with this book. Where do I start? I really did want to enjoy this book, and I just didn't. I could not. I really could not do it. So, when your mom tells you that if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say it. So I wasn't going to like do a whole like a long Goodreads review, because obviously I asked for this arc to give it an honest review. But I felt like I have the potential of being mean without realizing that I'm being mean. So I didn't want to offend the author. So I tried putting like, you know, like writing the review, but then the author was like, are you right to write the review? I was like, yeah, sure. And I tried very hard to not come across mean. And I think I did a good job. This Goodreads review is probably my longest review, like 2 days. I'm not good at getting my point across well, so it could be taken in the wrong way. So I don't tend to write long reviews, because I'm not very well articulated, if that's the right word. But this one, I just went off on a tangent, and it was long. Yeah, but I'd say I was nice, and I got like 2 of my friends to read it before I posted it. The book is about this girl called, what's she called? The girl's called Ada, the guy's called Kadeem. So what we know is that Ada is this girl, this hijabi Muslim, very dedicated to her religion girly. Nothing wrong with that. She's a Muslim, and she wanted to be an architecture, and she's into it. She's been applying for little jobs, but then she applied for this big company, which she wanted because obviously it's a well-known company. But the character's main reason for going to that job wasn't because it's a good company. Like, her main reason is that it's a company that will allow her to pray. And I had a bit of an issue with that, because I'm like, so you would just go for any company because the company allows you to pray? Like, you didn't try other companies. You didn't try other companies and, like, you know, put forward your question like, oh, I'm a Muslim, will I be given time to like go observe my prayers so and so time? You just jumped to conclusion and thought, nah, but because this company is led by a Muslim guy, I'm just gonna go to this company because I'm gonna be allowed to pray. That side. Anyway, she goes to this job, she goes for an interview, gets the job, she goes back home, and she is introduced to her husband that has been arranged by her parents. And turns out that it was the boss of the company that she currently got a job in. She didn't even get like a good, I think she didn't even get the post she wanted. She ended up getting like his assistant post as well. But turns out that it was the guy that she was going to marry. My review. Where is my review? I'll show you how long my review is. I don't know if you can see it. Oh my god. How do I show people? Oh, I can't show people. I don't know what's going on. But if I could, I would. Like, it's, like, can you see how long? Like, look. Can you see how long? Yeah. I'll just read it to you. So I was like, thank you for sending me the arc for an honest review. I really tried to enjoy this book, but there were just too many things that were just a big no for me. And I like just stated in the thing, I said, you know, bear in mind that I'm reading the arc. So the updated version that has been released, because I didn't give my review until after the edited version had been released. I was like, bear in mind that like I have not read the edited version, so what I'm saying might have been like, what I'm complaining about might have been fixed. So, you know, just a little disclaimer before people come at me. So I thought, first thing first, I feel like the characters weren't really fleshed out. I really did want to like the characters. I just felt like the only thing we knew about the female main character was that she's a good devoted Muslim, which is a good thing, and how much she wanted this job. But I knew nothing else about her. I just could not connect with her throughout the book. Sometimes she reads as if she was a lot younger than what she actually is. And I'm pretty sure Ada's 22, but she really read like, you know, somebody in secondary school. She read like how some of the girls would behave when we were 14, 15. And I didn't write it in this, but, you know, we didn't know anything about Ada. We didn't know her hobbies. We didn't, and I feel like when you're writing books, well, I'm not an author, but when you write, I feel like you need to flesh out your characters to a certain point where you want your readers to be able to connect with the characters. But I just couldn't connect with Ada because I knew nothing about her aside from she wanted a job. She's a good devoted Muslim, and she had siblings. Nothing. We know that her mom, I think her mom's Moroccan and her dad's Nigerian. Like there's so many things you could talk about with that. Like I know nothing about her culture, nothing about her for me to care about her. Same goes for the main male character. We only knew that he was a CEO. He's not a practicing Muslim. His mom passed away. Like nothing else. And they just kind of he also read very young, like a moody teenager boy. And it's like just like I think he's supposed to be 25 as well. And I think it came across like you just have this person and this person, just put them together. We know nothing about them. How am I supposed to care about their romance if I don't care about them? I also put the main male character. Also, we knew nothing about him aside from aside from being a CEO, not being a Muslim, and I think that's my problem with characters. It's just they weren't just fleshed out. Anyway, the full story. I said that the full story did have potential, which is true. There's potential in this book. I just felt like it needs to be heavily edited, but I have not read the edited version, so it might have been edited. It says that the story also did have potential, but I just felt like some other things were just unrealistic. I found myself shaking my head at some parts. For example, when Alfie, oh my god, Ada has an argument with Kadeem. They've just been married, I think, a couple of weeks. I don't even know what the argument's about. They argued, and rather than sort it out, like, married couples, or, talk about it later, no. At stupid o'clock in the morning, or was it night? I can't remember. Ada leaves the house without letting her husband know and goes back home. She opens the door and her mum and dad just like, let her back in. She was crying. The argument was so stupid. Like, it did not warrant her to leave the house and go back crying to her parents. Anyway, she goes back to her parents' house and her parents are like, oh my god, I can't believe he did that. Like, why would he do that? And I'm like, get it together. Like, what had me cackling was the following day she had stayed over, told her parents what happened. She slept over at her parents, and her little brother, who's 17, decides to skip school. He tells his best friend that he's skipping school because he wanted to go sort something out, and his best friend's like, well, I'll come with you. And like, what's happened? He's like, oh, Ada's husband treated her wrong and I'm gonna go tell him how it is and blah blah blah. I'm like, you're 17, sit back down. Sit back down. But yeah, he went to Kadeem's house. Kadeem opens the door and they go off on a tangent. She's like, how could you hurt her like that? Like, do you know, like, don't mess with her, like, we'll come for you. And then the brother's friend was like, do you know why she has this many brothers? It's so we can protect her, me included. I'm like, oh my god. I was like, oh my god. I said, what am I cackled so loud. I was like, beat for real. The problem I had with it was they go off on their honeymoon and I don't know where they go to. I don't want to say Dubai. Was it Dubai? Because I think they're from New York. And they go to Dubai. And this little 6-year-old boy tries selling the girl like a rose. And she was like, oh, keep the change. And she was like, the little boy's like, my dad said no to keep the like money that I have not earned and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, where's your dad? He's like, well, my dad's passed away. And then you find out that like this 6-year-old boy is living homelessly with his 2-year-old sister by themselves. I'm like, that could happen, I guess. I don't know. But the way the whole thing panned out was just, I was like, again, unrealistic. So Ada gets the kid. It's like, oh, we're going to protect you. We're going to keep you safe. And all of a sudden, this kid's got a passport and they're flying to Dubai with them and then back to New York with them and they've been adopted. And I'm just like, they didn't see if they had any relatives or anything like that. You literally took these kids out of the country. Oh, one more thing. The one thing that absolutely, like, the icing on the cake, and this is not to be mean, I'm a neonatal nurse, right? So I work with like preemie babies. our main character was pregnant with twins, goes into delivery. I don't know what happened, but I think she passed out or something, and she goes into labor. But I think she was due anyway. She goes into labor. They go to the hospital. Baby's born, and then yeah, the babies were born, and then when the nurse comes to the mom, and I was like, well, you can have this one because that one's full term, but you can't have the other one because the other one's not term yet and is going to NICU. And I was just thinking, in what world are twins that have come out of the same womb both not? They're either both cooked or they're both undercooked. You can't have one cooked, one undercooked. They were sharing a womb. They are twins. So unless there's something out there, I don't know. But as a neonatal nurse, I have not come across that. So again, that's another like research that needed to have been done. Hopefully that's been fixed, because I burst out laughing when I saw that. I'm sorry. I had to get my sister, and I was like, oh my sister's also a nurse, and I was like, but anyway, like I in the review I just said, potential, there just needs to be a lot more research, and the characters need to be fleshed out a bit more, because without them being fleshed out or me caring about them individually, I do not care about their romance. Their romance were just not, like, even the romance there was nothing. It was giving me nothing. I didn't care. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I feel like I didn't mean to sound mean, but I sounded mean. If this is mean and the author comes across this, I don't mean to be mean. The reason why I didn't want to be mean, and I tried very hard not to be mean in my review that I wrote, was because I think the author wrote it the author is quite young, and I think she wrote it even when she was younger. Like when she was younger, and I think she was doing editing, and then she was gonna release it on KU. And I just tried not to be too harsh, because if I look back at the books I wrote, at the age she wrote this book, I would jump off a cliff, because I wouldn't want to read it. So kudos to her for, putting it out into the world. The next book I read, I'm still doing, this is still the February wrap up, by the way. Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I can't believe I'm saying this. I actually did enjoy the book. Another book I gave 3.75 star. Don't know why. Maybe it just wasn't good enough for me to be 4 stars, but 3.75. This is why I like Storygraph, you see. Like, I can be very specific. It's either 3.25, 3.5, 3.75. Like, I can be very specific with my rating. So I don't know why I gave it a 3.75 and not a 4 star, but I gave it a 3.7 star and 3.75 star. So in this world, werewolves and vampires don't get along, but to sound like a peace treaty sign, the leader of the vampire marries off his daughter to the alpha of the werewolf community. We found out that the vampire father doesn't care about his daughter really, because whenever there's been a peace treaty sign, he always offer up his daughter. So when it was a peace treaty between humans and vampires, it was his daughter that he sent as the peace treaty, to live in the human world. And obviously when the daughter went to live in the human world, she got used to it and she liked it. She liked being human, living with humans as well. She became friends with this other human, because so basically when she went to the human world, she was a very little girl, and another little girl was living in the same building as her. They became best friends, and her best friend goes missing. And the only note she found from her best friend was an initial, which turns out to be the initial of the alpha that she's getting married to. And it's just how, forbidden romance, how they fall in love, because, it wasn't supposed to be, it was like a arranged marriage. They're not supposed to, like each other, but you know how this werewolf vampire story goes, or forbidden romance goes, or whatever, and enemies to lovers goes. They ended up falling in love, and the rest was history. I enjoyed it. I feel like this is the first Ali Hazelwood book that I actually enjoyed. I read Love Hypothesis and wasn't a big fan. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. But with this Bride, I had nothing bad to say about it. It's just good. I need more werewolves book and vampires book, and I feel like this year we've got a lot of like vampire books coming, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, Ali Hazelwood didn't let me down with this book. I enjoyed it. And yeah, one thing, people who were hyping this book up and were, would I say promoting it? Was it promoting it or talking about it or like recommending it? Saying it's an Omega verse book is wrong, because it's not an Omega verse book. It just happens that he's a werewolf who has a nut. It's not a Megaverse book. So I need you all to stop recommending and like lying and saying it's a Megaverse, because it's not. I went into it thinking it's a Megaverse, but it's not. So let's not do that, because it's misleading. Last book I read for February was called Between the Devil and the Sea. I'm not gonna show the cover because after getting halfway through the book, I realized that it was AI cover. So, and I already got halfway through the book, so I had to finish it. But I'm not gonna put the picture up there because it's AI. So if you want to just search it, it's called Between the Devil and the Sea. It's a dark romance. When I say dark romance, dark romance. It's a BL book. And yeah, it's dark. So there's basically a serial killer roaming about killing people, but well, unaliving people. And the reason he unalives these people is because like these people are actually bad people. So it's not like he's unaliving like randos. He's unaliving like really bad people. And once he gets obsessed, he has to finish it. So he got obsessed with this detective and pretends to be the detective's friend, like pretend to bump into him, become friends, probably ended up being like neighbours or something. I can't remember, but all in all, kidnaps the detective, puts him through hell. Detective develops Stockholm Syndrome. I guess that's why I'm gonna have to call it Stockholm Syndrome, because anyway, it's dark romance, you get the gist. It was very dark, so read the trigger warnings, please. I gave it a 2-star. It wasn't like life-changing, and I didn't like some parts of the book. I was gonna give it 3 stars. No, 2.5 star, but I took the 5 stars off after I realized that it was AI. So apparently, like, I really want to read like the author's other work, but I can't because they're all bloody AI covers. So, ew. But yeah, it was a good book. I enjoyed the book. These are all my February wrap up. The books I read in February. I don't know if I tried very hard to remember why I rated this book. Like, and as you can see, I struggled to remember why I rated them 3.75. But yeah, that's my February wrap up done. Moving on to March. March, I enjoyed my books. I only read 3 books. And I read 2 of the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. So the 5th season and the Obelisk Gate. And I also read an arc that I had received from NetGalley a while back, called We Are Never Going Back Together. Again, even though I just finished listening to the Obelisk Gate and I just started the 3rd book, I can't really tell you what the book is about, the Broken Earth trilogy. I just know that it's amazing, it's good, and it's going on my all-time fave list when I've completed this trilogy. Yeah, I will just read you the synopsis of the 5th season so you can get the gist, because if I try to describe what this book is about, we'll be here forever. Just know that it's got elemental powers involved. That's what I'm going to say. But I'll read you the synopsis. This is the way the world ends for the last time. It starts with the great red rift across the heart of the world's sole continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal and long dormant wounds rising up to fester. This is the stillness, a land long familiar with catastrophe, where the power of the earth is wielded as a weapon, and where there is no mercy. this book is insane. I love this book. I'm just gonna talk about the Obelisk Gate and the fifth season together because I don't think I can describe them like separately. I just love it. I love when a mother goes into rage for her children. Love it, and I think that's one of the reasons why I like, is it The Shadows of Gods, but the book I read last month. But yeah, you meet the fifth season. Let me talk about the fifth season. The things I like about this fifth season. I'm not big on reading books in second POV, but N.K. Jemisin did amazing because I actually enjoyed it. So you start off the book and there's three POVs. One is a girl called Demaya. Second is the character in second person. And the third is a girl called Cyanite. And you just... Demaya was a little girl. Cyanite was like early 20s. And the character written in second person was referred to as Esun is in her 40s. And you mainly follow Esun's story, and the plot twist at the end when everything comes together, my jaw was on the floor. I'm gonna spoil this, so if you don't want to know, skip. Like, you follow Demaya when she was a little girl. Demaya has powers, and there's this thing called the Fulcrum, and there's this thing called Guy. They're called Origins, the people with powers that can control like the earth basically, and they're basically practically elementals. That's what I'm gonna call them. The Maya has got powers. Her parents didn't want her because you can't harbour kids with powers. So the Guardians come get Demaya, and she's taken to the Fulcrum to kind of like train them, to like keep an eye on them, and if they like become wild, I think they like unalive them. I can't remember. You follow Demaya's story, right? You know her from when she gets taken by the Guardian. Excellent story to get the POV, the second person POV. She's 42. She comes back from work and she finds her little boy unalived on the floor and has been beaten to death by her husband. And it's because her husband finds out that she is a Raga, so a person with powers, because they're not people with free will, the Ragas. People are scared of them. People don't like them. So she hid, and her husband found out that she hid that, and her little boy obviously accidentally revealed the power to her husband, so he beat him to a 2-year-old. It was awful. It was and then takes the other little girl and goes on a run with her. And so you follow Essun's story of trying to basically go find a little girl. And then you've got Cyanite, who I think early 20s. She's sent. So the more powerful you are, I think you get you get these rings. So she gets sent to this 10 ringer, which is the highest it can be, powerful, and basically they use them to try and like produce the next best thing. So they call them like breeders. So she's supposed to go to him and produce a baby basically. But I think they end up liking each other. They didn't fall in love, but like they had love for each other, and they meet another person who they become like a throuple, I guess. And Cyanide has a baby, and the whole living nice and dandy. But then you find out that Cyanide, Demaya, and Essun are all the same person. They're all Essun, but at different points in her life, and how she gets to the point that she's Essun. So her original was Demaya, but when she's in a Fulcrum, you were given another name, so she was called Cyanide. And then when the whole shebang happened, when she was Cyanide, so basically she had a kid, and her and her 10 ringer, who's called Alabaster, they basically were hiding. They were like hiding from the Fulcrum, I want to say, and they get found. And Alabaster tells Cyanide that do not let him take our baby, because you know what they will do to him, because he's just going to be as powerful as we are. And what did Cyanide do to stop? Because she would rather do that than let her baby go through what she did. She suffocated him to death. I cried my eyes out. Like, chapter 22 of the 5th season, I cried my eyes out. I cried my eyes out. N.K. Jemisin, I need compensation for therapy because chapter 22 was chapter 21. Absolutely, like, it ruined me. Because Cyanide obviously had to unalive her kid and loses Alabaster, and what's it called? Ian? The third in the couple thing. He got unalived as well. So Cyanide ended up being on her own, and then it kind of just jumps to, Essun, which ends up being Cyanide. So you meet Essun, and Essun's like, so it's Demaya Cyanide as Essun at the age of 40 something. She had lived her Raga life behind, kind of. She's hiding, so she's pretending to be like a normal human, and she married somebody, and then they had kids, and obviously her kids started having powers, because Cyanide is quite powerful, but I don't think she realized how powerful she was. And then it leads to, one of her kids being unalive, then the husband taking the other one and the one trying to find a kill. And it was just Essun trying to do that, and that's the journey in the 5th season. The Obelisk Gate basically just follows Essun now, and I want to say Shafa. No, it follows Essun and Essun's daughter's POV, and then yeah, that's it. It just follows Essun. Basically, Essun still trying to find her daughter, and then you see her daughter's POV as well. Her daughter's basically following her dad, obviously. Her dad's trying so hard not to hate her, but hates her for being a Raga, and all of that. All in all, amazing. So much research to go, like, definitely went into this because I feel like I know more about geology than I ever did. I think everyone needs to read it. If you haven't read it, pick it up. If it's on your TBR, push it to the priority. But yeah, I'm currently 43% into listening to the final book. I think it's called The Stone Sky. I can't remember, but I'm enjoying that so far as well. It's these books, this series, it's like, it's one of those that, like, it's very hard to explain. This is where I wish I'm very well articulated, if that's the right word. I'm not sure that's the right word. Where I can get my point across properly, because I don't think I'm doing it justice. Like, the book is very good. These books are very, very, very good. Definitely top fantasy books I've ever read. 5th season, The Obelisk Gate, those are 2 books. I give the 5th season 5-star, and I give The Obelisk Gate 4.5, because as much as I enjoyed it, I did find some part to be like, yeah, you need fillers, but I did find some part of it to be quite boring, tedious. I don't know if that's the right word, but very slow moving. And then last but not the least is, I think it's called Never Getting Back Together. It's an arc I got from NetGalley. I only got it because, like I said in my previous video, I had to get a new NetGalley because I was behind on the other arcs that I'd received from the other NetGalley, and I wanted to get an arc that I didn't even end up getting because I had to get I created a new NetGalley because I wanted to get a certain arc, so I had to get, like, get a good ratio, so I was on it, but I didn't even get the arc anyway. So annoying. So this is Never Getting Back Together was one of the books that was just, you can request and just get it straight away. I wasn't interested in it, but not that I wasn't interested in it. It was, I don't know. It just felt like an easy read, and I hated it, so I gave it 1 star. I didn't even DNF it. I gave it a 1 star. It was atrocious. I didn't like the main male character. Didn't like the female main character. Didn't care about the romance. They were just bland. Even the banter between the main characters just wasn't it. It basically says Gilmore Girls meets Sweet Home Alabama in this small town second chance romance. Quinn is hustling to make her dream of owning her own business come true, but first she'll have to survive a week of hosting her small town's founders festival with her ex. It's a second chance romance. The reason why they broke up in the first place was so stupid. I can't even remember it. They just shouldn't be together. I just didn't care for them. They annoyed me. They shouldn't have gotten back together. I just didn't care for the romance. There's no romance there. There was nothing to the main male character. He was just bland. I have nothing nice to say about this book. It was atrocious. Gave it a 1 star. If I could give it a 0 star, I would definitely give it a 0 star. Yeah. So I only read 3 books in March. I thought I had read a lot more, but clearly not. I was very focused on my Broken Earth trilogy. So yeah, that's my wrap up for February and March. Let me know if you've read some of the books and what you thought of them. Thank you for listening. Yeah, thank you for listening to me rant about some of the books that I didn't enjoy. Bye. Until next time. See you later.